Hi guys, so this will be like a little bonus video on my predictions for chapter 120 of Boku no Hero Academia. This will probably be the only like bonus video I'll do today, so no One Piece, I'm really sorry, but I am kind of preparing for exams mentally, not quite studying, but mentally. So yeah, I haven't really had time to like put any solid ideas or theories into like a video. I'll try to do that for the next break though, but it depends on how stressed out I get because of those goddamn exams. But either way, this is gonna be like a little prediction video on chapter 120 because I discussed with some of you, and I'm pretty sure I didn't say this in my little chapter review thing by the end of last week, so I'm just gonna talk about it now. Basically what I think is gonna happen is that in the next chapter, of course, they're gonna focus on Deku and Kachan, and their little fight will come to an end because I believe that this punch/kick attack that Deku is about to deal to Kachan is gonna be, it's not gonna be good. It's not gonna be good for Kachan or Deku mentally, but it's gonna deal a lot more damage than he wanted it to do because, first of all, he went from being able to use 5% of One for All to using 8% of it, and that's like, he went, like, if 5% was his 100%, then 8% is at what he's dealing with, it's like his 160%, like, that's insane. That's like 5 to 8% of what we've seen. That's a huge jump. And it's also important to remember because I kept like remembering the beginning of the series. The first time that the two of them fought each other, like Kachan and Deku, Deku also had, like, he was about to punch Kachan, but then he directed the punch upwards so that Kachan wouldn't take any damage. I do not believe we're about to see the same thing again. I believe that he will, like, actually hurt Kachan with this attack. And the second thing is that in the very first arc we had, where we had, like, villain's attack, where they were at the rescue thing, you know, where we were at the beginning of season 1, right? Deku has like this notion of him never using his quirk on people, or he never has used his quirk on people before, which is why when he attacked the Nomu thing, he didn't go all out, like his quirk didn't backfire on him because he mentally held back or whatever. I think we're at a point in the story now where he has to do that intentionally, and because he before was only at the 5%, he thinks he can control his power, but because he has grown so much without really thinking about, oh my god, maybe my full power is now more than those 5%, his, let's say that he thought, if he went at like 50%, he wouldn't hurt Kachan, like 50% was like good, but 50% of 5% and 50% of 8% is not the same. So he'll deal a much stronger attack. And yeah, Kachan did guard the attack, but I think that that's also important because that means that he didn't avoid it. Like, he will take this attack, he will be hit by this attack. And it's not gonna be good. I do not believe that he will be so seriously injured that he will not be able to fight anymore. Like, it won't be as serious as that, but it will probably put him in the hospital or something. Like, something will happen that will put a lot of stress on Deku. And it will also put some stress on Kachan, but I'm gonna talk about Kachan after this. I'm gonna start with Deku because this fight right now for the two of them is supposed to mend some of the wounds they dealt to each other, mostly from what Kachan did to Deku. But it's about them becoming just a little bit closer, starting to heal those wounds and just moving forward. If them moving forward starts with them hurting each other, that's not a great start to a new beginning, if that makes any sort of sense. Because obviously, if Kachan is hurt by Deku, that's not gonna be well for his body or his self-esteem or just how he views Deku, because he's already admitted that he always thought that Deku looked down on him, and then taking another defeat from him is probably not what he needs at this point. For Deku, hurting Kachan is just the most unhero-like thing you could do. Especially because, as he said, he's always looked up to Kachan. And while hurting him essentially would be surpassing him, but again, you shouldn't hurt innocent people, right? That's not a hero-like thing, so it'll put a lot of stress on Deku just mentally because, oh my fucking god, I actually hurt someone I consider a friend or someone close to me or whatever they are at this point. I think though, for Kachan, this might actually be a good thing because getting hurt, he will be vulnerable. He'll realize his vulnerability, and I think like he's already like 90% there to realizing that he's not completely immortal / invincible. Like he's there already, but his vulnerability is not, how do I say this? Remember in the Communal Ward arc, Kachan, even when he had been kidnapped by the villains and he was like chained to a chair and like everything was against him, he was still cocky as hell, and he was still like, I'm gonna take these people on. Like he knew in his mind he couldn't win, but he was still a little overconfident in my opinion, because things could have easily just backfired on him completely, and he could have been killed right then and there, because their whole point for like kidnapping him was to recruit him, and once he'd made clear that no, I'm not gonna be recruited by you, I'm a hero, not a villain, their need for him was not all that much anymore. But I think this vulnerability is gonna make Kachan grow stronger, because obviously when you are vulnerable, you will strive to become stronger so that things can no longer hurt you, especially for a hero, because if you can't even protect yourself, how the fucking hell are you gonna protect others? Like, that's just impossible. And while for them individually, Kachan and Deku, this experience, if Deku does really hurt Kachan, it's gonna make them grow individually. I'm not 100% sure what's gonna do to their relationship, because I really do believe that this fight will make them closer. And while they might still be not hostile towards each other, but not as friendly, because obviously, again, if you hurt one of them, I still think that them having communicated, or at the very least Kachan having communicated, is gonna be that step forward, because he did say, like, he literally poured his heart out to Deku, and he made sure that no one else was there to hear and listen to him speak of these emotions. So I think on like some deep level, and maybe not even that deep of a level, Kachan trusts Deku, like to some extent. Again, it's not really something that he would admit, because he's so Kachan-ish, but I do believe that he trusts him to some extent, because why else would he have like poured his heart out to him? He could just have said, no, I know you have All Might's power, and then I don't like how you've grown so far ahead of me, let's have a fight to settle this. Like, he could just have said that. But no, he decided to show him all of his emotions. And I think this is also something for their relationship, but I think because Deku is not stupid, especially not emotionally, not completely at the very least, and I think that the realization that Kachan put his trust in him, put his emotions forth, and then Deku immediately after hurting him, and just like tearing down his pride in his abilities and stuff like that, that's just gonna be a lot of stress on him. So yeah, I'm really interested in seeing what's gonna happen next. Basically, just to sum up, I think Deku will hurt Kachan and they'll grow as individuals, but I don't know how that will help mend their relationship. But I do think that the one who'll be under the most stress if it happens will be Deku. Because emotions. I think lastly I'm just gonna say that I do think that someone will come, but not until after Deku has dealt the blow. So it won't be anyone who stops him, because I'll be pretty mad if we get like a Naruto scene where, you know, the scene where they're on the rooftop and Kakashi comes and stops them, because that was ridiculous and stupid. Even though part 1 was really good. But that's like a sidetrack. But yeah, I really hope that no one comes and stops Deku, because if we just get Aizawa just like erasing his quirk, I'm gonna be real disappointed. And we might still get like a moment of Kachan being, oh my fucking god, he would have like blown me away, but I just feel like actually going through with Deku hurting Kachan would make more sense, especially looking from like a narrative point of view, because throughout the entire chapter, if you didn't notice, like we have Deku narrating it, and he keeps saying that I did not realize that my power had grown this much, and when I in this fight, like my emotions were in this shot or whatever. So it's like he's slowly building up that something bad is about to go down. So if someone just comes in and like stops the fight, that makes no sense for me. So I think something bad's gonna happen. I'm gonna end off here. Leave in the comments below what you think will happen in the next chapter. And yeah, until next time, bye!